a man who's no stranger to the Observer, former Commissioner of Police and political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, our very own Gary Griffith. Pleasant good evening, as always. How are things?
Hi, good evening. Always my pleasure to be on.
Thank you so much. In your recent, well, in one of your press releases last week, you made it quite clear that as far as the Privy Council's ruling on the local government elections, you said, thankfully, the court has been the one barrier against full blown dictatorship, consistently protecting our democracy and delivering defeats to this government. And you went on, of course, mentioning some stuff as far as interception of data on your wife's phone, your phone, the court instituting a temporary injunction to prevent the FIU from accessing financial accounts because there was no justification, and so many things. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, where are we now as a nation?
Well, where we are, it is no longer a democracy. You can't perceive it as that based on our constitution, but our constitution is so flawed, it is what I refer to as democratic dictatorship, where you have one individual who handpicks a president, arguably a chief justice, president of the Senate, speaker of the House, also possibly the independent senators who are appointed by someone who's politically appointed, all of the independent institutions, inclusive of that of the Police Service Commission, the Commissioner of Police, the Chief of Defense Staff, the head of the SSA. So, and this is what happens now. So, the one institution that has not yet been compromised or politically manipulated is our justice system. And because it has gone to the Privy Council, this is not in any way to cast anything on those who had made the initial decision to state that the decision made was legitimate. But it shows that the justice system cannot be in any way manipulated by this dictatorial government. As you mentioned, when you reach a point that government are using institutions in law enforcement to intercept phones of political opponents, trying to direct commissioners of police, give them $45 million to hire attorneys to arrest political opponents and get upset if the commissioner does not do that to the point of you will have him removed. Trying to use the FIU to dig into the finances of political opponents in the hope that you can find something going on a fishing expedition to witch hunt. Look at the situation with the Brent Thomas matter. Keith Rowley lied to the country. But to say that the government does not know, that was a lie. I was a Minister of National Security. I was a Commissioner of Police. The Commissioner has no authority to send police officers outside of Trinidad and Tobago. He or she has no authority to get the approval of that CARICOM aircraft. So the government was part of this, and they aided and abetted, and that is why it is that they are concerned that they themselves may be arrested as being aided and abetted in an abduction. So you had the Brent Thomas matter, even the audit, where they tried to hire civilians, handpick them to investigate and in a police service that the court said it was totally irrational. They actually banned a prime minister from leading it in parliament because parliament is the one place where the government can lie and mislead the country and not be sued. So this here, the pattern of what we have seen here with the local government election going to the Privy Council is yet another factor to show. And what makes it worse is that you have an incompetent, deceitful Attorney General that has the audacity to basically threaten law-abiding citizens and the media not to publish the findings, and then try to feel that people are so naive that to believe that what was said in that Privy Council ruling was in the benefit of the government. And he does that all the time. Every time they lose a case, I have filed injunctions on one, I have taken them to court with audit on one, and they will lie and then try to say, no, we really won. So it shows what this government is, and it is, as I said, this is what is known as democratic dictatorship.
And Gary, you're right about that. And what kind of, well, I shouldn't say surprised me, but the fact that you have people who would allow their good names to be tarnished, their reputation could be generationally built through their families or whatever in certain positions. Whereas, according to trying to sell to the public that the government won, despite clear facts that they were defeated, and just by persons attempting to virtually threaten the media and the public about making comments pertaining to this landmark judgment. Now, when you see these things unfolding, does it reinforce your decision why it is you've entered the political arena?
Oh, definitely, because I could have done the easy thing. Narrow is the path that leads to righteousness, broad is the way that leads to destruction. I could have done the simple thing and remain as a commissioner of police, toe the line, which many people have done. But the way my parents brought me up, I have a responsibility. I have children. I would like them to look up to me, and for me to be able to do the wrong thing and accept the fact that the government will say, look, take this $45 million and try to arrest political opponents. And I turned my back and I told them where to get off. Now, these type of things is what has caused me to have to return to politics, because unfortunately, if this continues, this country is going to sink. It is quicksand. And I think even is that because of the support that I have nationally, I will have to utilize that support to ensure that this country can get back into a proper situation that it can be a democratic country. Because what we're seeing now is hate, anger, malice, vindictiveness, racism. You're trying to divide the country, but you claim that you want to rule the country. And that is where it is. I had to get back in. And I'm rest assured that so-called third constituency has always been the catalyst and the decision towards any election in this country.
Now, as political leader of the NTA, you sent out word for those folks who are interested in the local government election. Usually when there's a new party on the scene, one may not want to test the waters with the local. Why? Why has the NTA decided to participate?
Well, there are certain political parties, and you have seen one individual alone in the party. He alone will speak on behalf of his party because he has nobody else. So, and on most occasions, that party may not even take part in the election. That really and truly is what is known as an activist group. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need that. We are not an activist group. We intend not to govern, but to serve. So you can't be a political party, form yourself as a political party, and then when time comes down for you to step up to bat, you will try to pull back because you may be concerned. We certainly have no concern. You would have seen when Express did a poll and it was asked who they wanted, the country wanted as the president. There was a vast majority that supported me. It was over 80%. As Commissioner of Police, it was 89% national support, and that actually cuts into the base of the PNM, which is why certain persons in the PNM were very fearful. The game plan by the PNM is that, okay, Rowley is the problem, so we'll remove Keith Rowley. Let me tell you, Trinidad and Tobago, that is not going to help, because Keith Rowley has two minions, two leprechauns, too many needs. I'm not calling names, but those individuals will still be there. They are going to remain there to do the work of Keith Rowley. So this is nothing against the PNM. This is against what is known as the RPNM, the Rowley PNM. The PNM before was a party that they will make mistakes, but they had the right intentions under the leadership of whether it be Patrick Manning, George Chambers, Eric Williams. The same with the UNC or the People's Partnership with Kamala Prasad, Bissessar, Basdio Pandey. But never have we seen a country that is so fearful that we've seen victimization, dictatorship, hatred, malice, anger, to the point that a prime minister will say, this man may have reduced crime. The majority of the country wants him back as commissioner. I don't care what you say. This man has now stated that even though I'm the prime minister, I am willing to help you reduce crime. And basically says, my ego, my hatred, my arrogance, my vindictiveness takes precedence over what is right for the country. We rather see the country drown in blood than to do what is right. And you actually had a handful of PNM supporters in that Toko meeting, similar to what you see if you ever went to a SeaWorld in Orlando. Yeah. The seals are just aimlessly. You don't care that this could affect your children, your spouse, your assets, because your political leader says so. This is why I got back into politics, to ensure that the country is taken back and led by the citizens of this country and not one man.
And the mere fact to focus and concentrate on the issues itself, the core issues, that is something that sometimes is sidelined. I mean, we talk about code of conduct, we talk about how it is that we're going to go about having a campaign, but it always seems to boil down to race. And that factor always rears its ugly head when in fact the real issues are the ones that we need to concentrate on. What makes the NTA different when it comes to laying out their strategy to deal with the issues and not focus on race or be sidetracked by race?
Well, certain political leaders, that is what they do. They go out of their way to cause the division and try to make sure you solidify your base in the hope that you can win an election. When that third constituency comes along, those persons who are neither ketchup nor mustard, those who are not PNM till they're dead, who are born a UNC and are retire UNC. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when that third constituency opens itself, it acts as a catalyst towards the decision and the results of an election, one way or the other. The decision that that constituency would make would decide who is in government. And you would have seen it with when it was the ONR in 1981, 91,000 votes and virtually splitting the votes for PNM to get back in, or the ONR joining with the ULF to form the NAR that caused an annihilation of the PNM in 86, or the NAR going on their own in 91 getting 127,000 votes, or the COP going on its own in 2007 getting 147,000 votes, or the COP joining with the UNC in 2010 to cause an annihilation of the PNM. So the point being is that what this constituency will do, those 115,000 persons who actually are balanced, they will look and ascertain, look, I am going to make a decision and vote based on what is right for the country. There's a large number of those persons. Additionally, the last time that they had a choice of a third party would have been in 2007. So you're talking about like almost 17 years later, we have persons who are the age of 35 that never had a third option. And this is where it is that, and the majority of the support that I would have received would have been that youth vote, those persons from 17 to arguably 40, which is still youth in the terms of politics. So the reason I have come back into politics, and the reason why the NTA is going to be the catalyst to decide government is because we are here to try to serve, not to lead. We are here to try to represent people and not to govern. We are here to unite and not to divide. It's going to be a different type of politics. And that is something that Rowley is fearful of. That is why, if you look at all of the problems that Rowley is enduring and experiencing in the last year, it is indirectly because of me. When it was the president who joined the merit list, when it was Blissy Prasad breaking the law, when it was trying to remove a certain commissioner of police illegally, when it was trying to remove a commissioner of police that caused the turnaround and spike in crime that the whole country now is attacking the government on, when it was the Brent Thomas matter, when it was him trying to handpick civilians who maybe close to him, pay them hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' money, and then the court had to tell him where to get off, when it was hiring Stanley John, that again proved to be a lie with all his reports. So every single concern that Rowley has experienced now is because of his concern of Gary Griffith, and he's going to pay the political price. And this has nothing to do with the PNM, but the RPNM, the Rowley PNM. That is what this country needs to remove.
Not recently, Commissioner of Police mentioned that her rating was that of excellent. And many people are saying, well, at the end of the day, as far as resources, because more money has been given, allotted to the Ministry of National Security. But on the backdrop of that, you have the UNC MP, Dr. Rudal Muniral, who mentioned that only 45% of CCTV cameras around Trinidad and Tobago are working. He said Trinidad has 1,607 CCTV cameras and 730 are not functioning, while others are functioning with limitations. I recall, of course, the People's Partnership government had installed CCTV cameras in Tobago following a murder, and out of the 189 on the island, 99 do not work. So, I mean, looking at that, Gary Griffith, did he have all these resources? We're hearing about vessels that have been docked for quite some time. Is it then, do you feel somewhat vindicated in the fact that you understood how it was to manage the situation while others seem to just simply be out of their element?
Yeah, well, what Member Parliament Muriel stated, right? I don't know how we got that information, but it's all 100% accurate. As the Minister of National Security, most of those things he spoke about were things that I implemented whilst I was Minister. It was not coincidental that during that period of the People's Partnership, it was the lowest number of serious crime in 25 years. Because we formed the National Operations Center, we acquired the Diamond vessels at 1.2 billion less than the OPVs that were defective. We were able to implement the rapid response unit. Through that NOC, we were able to put those 1,600 plus cameras and be able to monitor. In Tobago itself, I formed an operations center with the 180 cameras, making sure we could lock down Tobago, which is why Tobago at that time was it was secure. I have actually sent messages now to the Chief Secretary of the THA, offering to assist them to reignite the things that I put in place as the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner of Police, because you're seeing now that Tobago is now starting to become a hotspot. And all of these things, because of the incompetence and the inability of Fitzgerald Hines, he has not done anything to try to reignite those things. because they were Gary Griffith as a Gary Griffith thing or UNC thing, do not put focus on it, do not put emphasis on it. So they shut down the National Operations Center, making sure the maintenance of the cameras, the E999, the Rapid Response Unit, the Emergency Response Patrol, GPS tracking on the vehicles, the Special Operation Response Team, the Social Media Monitoring Unit, the COVID Operative Unit, online reporting, app reporting, the 482 Gary, over 100 policies that worked, inclusive of Mr. Munilal spoke about the mobile scanners. I got the mobile scanners because of the incompetence of this government to understand the importance of securing our borders. As soon as I left, they virtually they took down the vehicles and the tires, everything started dry rotting because Gary Griffith put that, we are not going to use it. And with that, we are allowing illegal weapons to enter our country. All of these things that we have seen by this government has been towards targeting law-abiding citizens. Don't give them pepper spray. Don't give them easy access to get firearms. And nothing they are doing to stop criminals from getting illegal weapons. When I drafted the Border Protection Unit for them, they refused. It gives the impression that the state has a type of sympathy for criminals and they hate law-abiding citizens. You heard it with Keith Rowley when Kamala Prasad spoke about stand your ground. The man was, how dare you? You are saying that a criminal, if he breaks into your house and invades you, you're supposed to shoot him? This is the Keith Rowley government. Is it that this government has more sympathetic and is responsible for the support and the rights of criminals over law-abiding citizens? And maybe because of how I operated as a commissioner, when I spoke about criminals are coming after you, one shot, one kill. They didn't like that. They didn't like the fact that the law-abiding citizens, the law enforcement agencies were ready to fight back. And because of that fighting back, it pegged up the criminals to the point that in my last year as commissioner, it was the highest reduction in violent crime in our history. It was the lowest number of murders in 17 years. As soon as I left, they pulled the plug on everything, and from the lowest number of murders in 17 years, the very next year we saw the highest number of murders in history. So long live the RPNM.
Yeah, and of course, now we're seeing a lot of these community groups, these watch groups, and it's becoming a bit scary because some analysts are weighing in and saying that they could be somewhat turning into vigilante groups where you have communities actually going about bracing armed citizens, which is a very dangerous thing. Taking a look at that, has government dropped the ball on their responsibility of securing the citizens of this nation?
Oh, definitely, and I will definitely advise law-abiding citizens, do not go down that road. Firstly, do not put the law into your own hands, but also these type of neighborhood groups, you get too caught up in the policing aspect, and you start monitoring vehicles, following vehicles, they pinpoint you, they target you. You have to be very careful. But the sad case here is that because persons are so fearful, and because of their inability or lack of trust in the protective services, no fault of the officers. These were the same officers that the country moved from 14% public trust and confidence in 2018 to 55%. It was the highest increase, and it was one of the highest public trust and confidence the public had in any arm of the public service. It has now probably gone back to less than 10%. It has nothing to do with the officers. It has to do with the leadership or lack of. And because of that, citizens they are becoming fearful. They want to take the law into their own hands. And that is a dangerous precedent. That is the last thing we want. But the reason for this is because of the void in leadership, both at the Ministry of National Security and dare I say even the police service. We are attacking Erla Christopher. I will ask the country, we need to back off. Erla Christopher did not impose herself on us. Erla Christopher got about 20th in the marks of all who applied for commissioner and deputy commissioner just 3 years ago, 4 years ago in 2018. That was by qualified experts who appoint commissioners around the world. Yeah. 3 years later, she got 20% less than who placed first. The very next year, a president who obviously was politicized, who broke the law, decided to handpick a new police service commission after the last one resigned in disgust. Here the word, they resigned in disgust over the actions of the Prime Minister of his manipulation in the police and interference in the police service. And something like that, there should have been an election from there. But and then you appoint now a new police service commission with persons with no knowledge in law enforcement. One is an accountant, another is a speaking consultant. So these jokers took a lady who placed 22nd odd of people who applied for commissioner and deputy commissioner. Most of them reapplied, and all of a sudden from 22nd, Erla Christopher, all of a sudden drank some gummy juice that gave her extra brain cells to come first. That was impossible. So the reason why she placed 22nd is because of her ability. So these people impose illiteracy on us. The Police Service Commission should resign. The Minister of National Security and the government who decided to give her the 1-year extension, they are the ones who impose illiteracy on us. So let us get off illiteracy back, give her a chance,
and get to the real people behind it. Final thing this evening, again, local government elections, NTA, your message to your party and those who may be interested, please go right ahead.
Well, again, I will want to ask the country to just believe that there can be good politics, clean politics, persons who actually want to serve and not see what they can get. Believe that there are persons who are not going to divide, destroy this country because of hate, arrogance, and racism. That is what we are here for, and we are going to provide the opportunity. We are going to provide the people, the program, the political will, and we will continue to see it as it goes along. The same way I was able to transform the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, I promise you that the NTA intends to transform every arm in the public service to ensure that the public can get the rights of whether it is good security, health, education, the economy, you name it. And that's what we intend to do as we move along. We are going to unite the country, whilst others, especially the RPNM, have tried to divide it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Griffith. Looking forward to more with you, of course, in the near future. And good luck to you and your team. And keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.